guys, it's Laura and welcome to the dog blog. So in today's video we're going to be doing the Q&A, which we said we would do in our last video, but you guys sent in heaps and heaps of questions, like way more than I was ever expecting. Thank you so much for that, and we're going to try and answer most of them today. So before we start, if you're new to our channel, browse through our videos, and if you like us, make sure to subscribe to our channel because we reached 200 subscribers this morning, which is the special announcement which I posted on our Instagram page. But we're so happy. We've been waiting for days and days for those extra 2 subscribers. So if that was you, thank you so much. You got us to 200, and I remember in our last video, which was like probably 2 weeks ago, we said thank you for 150 subscribers. So within 2 to 3 weeks, you guys have got us an extra 50 subscribers. Like, that is something to be so proud of. So thank you guys so much for 200 subscribers. It means a lot to us and we're very proud and very thankful for all of you. So let's get on. So let's start answering some of your questions. So our first question comes from Bella Cavoodle, and she says, what is the right age to start agility training? It kind of depends on what breed of dog you have, I guess, like what size dog you have as well. I guess I should start from the beginning. I have been a horse rider pretty much all my life, like since I was just a little tacker. So I've always loved horses, but my parents would never get me a horse. So I was always like, what am I going to do instead? I've always had dogs, I've always had animals around me, I've just never had a horse. I've ridden horses, gone to riding schools and everything. I'd never seen the sport of agility before, so I was like, well, I'm just gonna make some jumps for my dogs because they're the closest thing to horses that I have, so why not do that? So I used to actually set up jumps around the backyard in like little courses, and I'd get the dogs to go over them, and that's how we started our agility career. They were probably about the age of 3 or 4 when I started doing that, and then after a while the dogs started to get really good. Like at the start they hated it. They were like, ugh, why do we have to do this? Like, I hate jumping. And then after a while they started to really enjoy it. So I started looking at sports for dogs, and I was like, well, the dogs love it and I love it. I'm gonna look at some sports that dogs can do as well. So I got on the internet and started searching up, and I found the sport of dog agility, and the dogs were about the age of 3 or 4 when I did that, and I found a local club near me and we started going there. Actually, before we started going to that club, I was training in my front yard. I trained in my front yard for about 3 years before I actually went to a club to do professional training. I made all the equipment myself. All the equipment I have now is like stuff that I've made, which is good stuff, but I had like really crappy stuff that I just made out of bits and bobs, which did the job to train the dogs agility. Yeah, my dogs were about 3 or 4 when I started doing that, and I just made the stuff myself, trained them in my front yard. I trained the dogs myself completely from the beginning, and then about 3 or 4 years later, when they were they'd be about 6 or 7, yeah, they'd be about 6 or 7. Wait, no, that's not right. They'd probably be about 5 when I joined the dog club, and from then on that's when we started competing and doing everything. So sorry, that's a very long-winded answer to your question, but the right age to start agility training, it really depends on your dog. I know you have to wait like until they're about 8 months or above or something, just so that their shoulder plates and all of their bones are like set, because if you start training them any younger than a certain age, like a certain amount of months, then you can actually damage their bones and all of their joints for the long term. So make sure that you do some research on that before you start training. Maybe even consult your vet to check up on their bones and joints and everything to see if they will be able to start agility training. So yeah, good luck with your dog. Where did you find Zach and Lucy? I was about, how old would I have been? So I was 8 years old when I got the dogs. We have had Westies for, like, we've had several Westies before Zach and Lucy. Mum and Dad always got them. I grew up with lots of different dogs. I grew up with my old dogs, Buddy and Kia, who were Westies as well. So we've had Westies pretty much all our lives. We found Zach and Lucy from Victoria, which is over the other side of Australia from where we live. We live in Western Australia. They came from Victoria. And yeah, we just found them on the internet. Mum and Dad knew how to do that because they'd obviously found Westies on the internet before. We just got them from a breeder over in Victoria who has an online website. Well, not really a website, not like you gotta put your dog in your shopping cart or anything, but like, you know, she had the information on the new puppies and everything. So yeah, that's where we found Zach and Lucy, on the internet. The next question comes from Beth Edson X, I think that's how you say it. And she said the top tips and tricks on agility training. I don't really know where to start with this question. I guess my top tip would be to go at your dog's own pace. there's no point in rushing your dog onto the next stage of the training if they don't get that stage that they're already on. Your dog isn't going to get any better if they don't already understand and they're not already confident in what they're doing. It's really important, I guess, to make sure that your dog is confident in what they're doing, they know how to do it, and you've done several different training exercises and they're getting it pretty spot on each time you do it, and then from there you can move on to the next training stage, whether that's the next piece of equipment or moving on from a serpentine to a blind cross. You know, all these things take time, and I guess you just have to be sure that your dog is comfortable and confident and actually understands that step that you're on before you move on to the next one. And my top trick, pretty much the same as making sure that your dog is comfortable and confident with the step that they're already on before they move on to the next one. That is the main thing. Oh, and also never get angry at your dog. I know it's so hard sometimes. There's been so many times where I've just wanted to walk out of that agility arena or just give up and start crying because Zach and Lucy, they haven't completed the course properly, or they did some silly mistake which was probably my fault in the first place. The frustration sometimes can get so big, and I know it's so hard to just not get angry, but you just have to, because at the end of the day, dogs have very small brains compared to us, and you have to understand from their point of view as well. To be a good trainer, you have to think like a dog, I guess. If your dog's not getting something and they're not doing it right, don't get frustrated because you could be the problem, or you could just have set up the exercise or something in a way that the dog doesn't actually understand it, or your instructions aren't clear enough. So if your dog isn't doing something and it's causing you to get angry or frustrated, just sort of take a look at the situation and think of it from their point of view, and then you should be able to find the solution, because it may be you, it may be something that's scaring your dog, you know. You just have to think of it from that point of view, I guess. Don't get angry at your dog, just think about it from their point of view. The next question, oh, I need my phone. The next question comes from ella.grogan03. I think that's how you say it, and she's actually messaged me over Instagram, so I'm going to read it from here in my private messages. She says, hey, just wanted some help with training my dog Miffy with the weave poles. I think I might just be going too fast for her, not as in running. Yesterday she was doing a clear round with no stopping or anything. When I added 2 more poles to the V method, she could not do it. I started training 2 weeks ago. Also, do you have any tips on training the tunnel? There's a video here, I'm just going to watch the video. Okay, so your dog is really cute, by the way, and she's actually doing really well because she wants to do the weaves. She starts to do the weaves, but I think by looking at it, she sort of gets to the first 2 weavers, I think, and then she sort of skips out. So maybe bit of an advert here. Maybe rewatch my weave pole video, because in that I do remember making a channel sort of thing. So maybe if you just move the weave poles slightly apart at the base, still keeping them in that channel, and then get her to go through it maybe with a lead on, walk her through the channel, and then as she gets better at that, and she may even start to be able to do it without the lead on, just slowly move the weavers together, and then if you have to, put them on that angle still, and then hopefully she should be able to go through the weavers. It will just take time because weavers are the hardest thing for a dog to learn in agility. They are super hard. Like, if you think about it, the dog has a really small brain and you're teaching them to weave in and out of vertical poles. Like, it's pretty difficult. Just make that channel and then gradually make the channel slimmer, and then if you have to, put the weave poles on an angle as well, and hopefully over time, it may take a few months, she should be able to get the weavers. But you're doing so well, I'm so proud. You guys look great and your dog is super cute. The other part she had was also, do you have any tips on training the tunnel? It's been so long since I trained my dogs to do any of this equipment, but Lucy was the most recent dog that I trained to do the tunnel. Zach was always pretty good with learning things. Like, he was pretty quick off the bat. He just understood it pretty quickly. But Lucy, being a girl, she's our guard dog. Zach's a lover boy. He'll do whatever you want, but Lucy's always on patrol, I guess. Like, you could call her Scout. Like, a twig cracks and she's like, what's that? She gets distracted so easily. She was a lot harder to train in agility, and she actually made me really frustrated at times, but I never got angry at her because I just had to remember that from her point of view, this is pretty scary. Training the tunnel, Lucy was always scared of how dark the tunnel was. I always started with my tunnel, I shrunk it to be really short, like I pushed it together, and I made it a straight tunnel so she could still see the light at the other end. And then I'd just put a treat ball with like 1 treat on it at the other end of the tunnel and line her up at the other end so she could see the treat. And then I'd let her go, and I'd probably have someone on the other end of the tunnel as well to call her to that spot. And then as she got better, I would lengthen the tunnel out so it was still straight, and then she'd go through it. Tunnels are still her weakness. She still fears them sometimes because of how dark they are on the inside and she can't see the other end. So if your dog does that, just start off with a short tunnel, put a food treat on one end and set the dog at the other, and get someone to wait here as well with the food treat, and then get your dog to go through the tunnel. Over time, things do take time, guys. You can't train your dog to do these things in a couple of days. Like, it would be amazing if they could, but unfortunately they just can't. These things do take weeks and sometimes even months to train your dog properly. Just gradually lengthen that tunnel out and then maybe start to put a slight bend in it, and then your dog should eventually get how to do the tunnel. But I hope that answers your question. The next one comes from the Golden Toby, and they say, every time I try to get my dog to jump, he goes under the bar. I make it as low as possible, but he still goes around it or squeezes under it. Help, please. I'm going to relate this to horse riding because it's the easiest way that I can think of a solution to your issue. But in horse riding, if a horse doesn't want to go over a jump, what we do is we set up the jump and then we put 2 guidance bars, they call them, so they're just 2 poles on either side of the jump stands. And basically what that does is it just guides the horse and shows them where they need to go, which is over the jump. So you could do that with your dog. I'll show you what it looks like now. So what I've done is I've just got a normal jump, and then I've gotten 2 bars and laid them out so that they angle into the jump so your dog knows where to go. For the issue of your dog going under the bar, Thank you. You can let
I thought you were in the middle of a film.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's alright. For the issue of your dog going under the bar, as well as putting the 2 guidance poles to angle the dog into the jump, you could also try putting 2 bars. Instead of just having 1 bar as the jump bar, put 2 bars. So 1 bar goes over the top and 1 bar underneath, so they'll sit like this on the jump stand. You'll still be able to get the height of the jump that you want, but your dog won't be able to go underneath it because there'll be that 2nd bar there. That's the only solution I really can think of at the moment. But also you could put a lead on your dog and put food treats at the other end of the jump. Just things like that to make your dog know that jumping the jump is a positive thing, because sometimes if the dog starts to avoid the jump or any obstacle, they are initializing that with something negative, like they're fearing it. So you need to start to train your dog to look at the jump as a good thing, like, I want to do this, I'm going to get rewarded for it, it's a good thing, I shouldn't be scared of it. So put food on the other end of it. Each time they jump the jump, give them heaps and heaps of praise. Like, I'm not just saying a pat and like, oh, a good boy. Seriously, fuss over them, go crazy, give them heaps of pats, yeah, good boy, everything like that. That should start to tell your dog that that's a good thing. They did the obstacle, it's a good thing, I shouldn't fear it, it's not scary. The next question comes from Aliska and Terry, and they said, where did you buy the rods and joints? I think this question actually is from my DIY jump stands, but I'm just going to answer it in here anyway, because if anyone else has the question, I actually forgot to list down below in the description box where I got all of my materials from. Stupid Laura. I got all of my materials from my local hardware store, Bunnings. Over in other countries, I'm not really sure what you guys would call it, but we just have hardware stores, so you go there and you'll find everything you need. The next question is from Caprice Wilton, and they said, what made you get Westies? This is a hard question for me to answer because I've grown up with Westies my whole life, so I haven't really had another dog like ever. My parents got the dogs and they liked Westies because they're small, they're fluffy, they're white, they're cute, everyone goes, oh my god, I love your dog, sort of thing. They don't take a lot of maintenance, I guess, like you have to brush them because their fur is really fluffy and thick, but apart from that, they're not like a border collie which requires a lot of exercise, and plus we do have a small property, like it's not small but it's just an average house property, and we don't really have a lot of space for a border collie or a big dog to run around in, and I'd have to walk them like 2 times a day, and with my lifestyle at the moment I don't have time for that. So having a small dog which requires little exercise is really handy for me and my family's lifestyle. Those are really the reasons that we got Westies and we like Westies. They also said, how did you come up with your YouTube username? I don't know if many of you guys know this, but we have sort of gone through 2 YouTube usernames. We changed it not that long ago, I think it was at the start of this year, but we've been on YouTube for almost 4 years now, believe it or not, and our first YouTube username was, I think it was Westie Mutts or something, and I was just kind of like, yeah, that'll do. Like, I just wanted to get a channel up and I just needed a name for it, and I was like, yep, that'll do. It's sort of like what our channel's about. A few weeks later I went, I really don't like that name for our channel because it doesn't really stand for what we do. So then I changed the name to Laura's Agility, which some of our old videos, there's like a channel trailer which runs at the start and it says, it comes down and it's like Laura's Agility. So yeah, and that sort of stood for more of what we were doing on this channel. And then earlier this year year, I decided that I wanted to start moving away from the agility side of things because Zach and Lucy, I don't know if many of you guys know, but a retirement age for an agility dog, depending on their breed and their fitness, is around the 10 years old mark. And I decided that for my dogs, the best thing for them would probably be to retire them earlier because they are smaller dogs and the force of them jumping jumps all the time, especially the dog walk and the A-frame and everything, would surely take its toll on their shoulders, and I didn't want them to get to the age of 12 or something and not be able to walk and be crippled and everything because of what I did, and that was continue to do agility with them until they were old. So what I decided to do early this year was I was going to retire the dogs from agility because they're turning 8 this year, and I figured I'll stop their agility career slightly earlier than the recommended age, which by the way, there isn't really a solid recommended age, like oh my god, your dog's 12, you need to stop agility now. It's just sort of around the 10 or 12 mark, I guess, because dogs, depending on the size of them and the breed, Westies usually live till around 16 or 17 years old. Well, at least my old one did anyway. And so I figured I'll stop them early in their agility career, and then they would have had 6 years of agility. So they've had a pretty good career in the sport. So yeah, I figured I'd stop them earlier, and that would prevent more injury on their shoulders and joints and everything, and they'll live a longer and happier life. So that's what I decided to do early this year. Because I was retiring the dogs from agility, I figured, well, I can't really have my name as Laura's Agility still because we're not really going to be doing that much more agility. So I was like, I need to figure out a new name which represents what we're going to be and what we're going to do on this channel, which was more humor and lifestyle and stuff like that. So I figured I'd come up with TheDogBlog as the name, and I think it fits really well, like TheDogBlog. Dogs, and we have a blog. So it's kind of a perfect name for us. And yeah, that's how we came up with our YouTube usernames, because we've had quite a few over the 4 years of being here. Caprice Wilton also asked, how did you come up with your dogs' names? Well, it wasn't actually me who chose the dogs' names. My family chose the dogs' names. I think I wanted to call Zach something like Benjamin or something. Like, I wanted it to be a really long name, and because I was 8 years old at the time, I was like, oh yeah, it'll be a really cool name. Mum and Dad were like, no, we want a short name which just rolls off the tongue, like Zach and Lucy. It's just easy to say if the dogs like ran away, or if they needed to be called back, or if you just like Lucy sit, or Zach beg, you know, that sort of thing. I don't really remember how we came up with the dogs' actual names, but I just remember having the conversation in the car when Mum and Dad were like, we're not gonna name the dog Benjamin. I can't actually remember the actual name, by the way, but it was something like Benjamin. So they're like, we want something which is a short name which rolls off the tongue that we can say quickly and easily if we needed to. So yes, that's how we got Zach and Lucy. Next question is from Martine Pink Knight. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. And she said, when did you start agility? I started agility with the dogs when they were about 3 or 4. So that's about 4 or 5 years ago. So in about 2010, I started agility with the dogs. Nintendo's Bandit asked, how long did you do agility with Zach? I did agility with Zach for the longest. Lucy only started doing agility last year. Zach did agility for about 6 years, which is a pretty damn good career if you ask me. And in that time, he managed to get himself 2 titles. He got me 2 titles as well. We won, I can't even remember how many first place competitions, but we won so many. We were going to go over to compete for nationals, which is the Australian State Championships, well, not State Championships, the Australian Championships of Dog Agility over in Tamworth, New South Wales. We were going to do that this year, and then I made the decision to retire the dogs. I would have loved to go and do it with them, especially with Zach. It would have made me so proud and would have been the best thing to finish off their agility career, but we decided not to because having to fly the dogs over would be really stressful, and then it's the whole thing. So Zach accomplished so much in his agility career. I still have all the Rosettes and certificates. He got me so far in my agility career. He got me this channel. I have all of you guys which love us and constantly ask for agility advice, and I'm able to answer your questions, which just makes me so happy. So yeah, thank you, Zach, really. He got me so far, and I'm so grateful for my little puppy, Zach. What is your favorite breed of dog? The dog's not in the room at the moment, so I can say it. I don't really know if West Highland White Terriers are my favorite breed of dog. I love English Sheepdog. If you're Australian, you'll know this advert. It's like a paint brand called Dulux, and on their adverts they have this English Sheepdog which is just so fluffy and it's so adorable. I freaking love it. I've always said to mum, like, oh my god mum, I want that as a dog, but she said that she always wanted it as a girl, and her mum, my grandma, wouldn't let her have one because they take so much maintenance with the brushing of them. They drop so much hair, and we have 2 fluffy cats, so I know about the dropping of hair. It is insane, and it just wouldn't suit our lifestyle. And plus in Australia it gets bloody hot in summer, and with a dog with that kind of coat they would suffer so badly. So for the dog's well-being we never got one. I think I will never get rid of Westies in my life because I've just had them for my entire life so far, and I just love them, and they're actually great guard dogs. Our last question for our Q&A today is, can you show us your Rosettes? I have so many Rosettes. I could show you guys my Rosettes, that's for sure. Maybe comment down below if you want to see my Rosettes that I have. I don't really know how I'd make the video. I don't know if it would be boring or not. So if you guys want to see the video of all my Rosettes, maybe I can tell you how I got them, what competition it was, like maybe a little story about all my Rosettes and everything like that. Comment down below if you want to see that video and I'll try and make it. So that's it for today's video. We hope that you enjoyed it. We hope that we answered all of your questions. We hope that now you have a better understanding of us and our channel and anything that you needed to know for your own agility career. We hope that we answered, and we hope we did a good job of answering your questions. If your question wasn't in the video, I'm really sorry. Leave us a comment down below what you thought of the video. We hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a massive thumbs up because it means a lot to us and it tells us that you guys actually like this style of video. Also, don't forget to comment down below if you want to see the Rosette video. I'll see if I can find a way of filming it which will make it kind of interesting. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to see more of videos like this. We hope we answered your question to a pretty good degree. We hope that you enjoyed the video, obviously. I will leave the link to our Instagram page down below as well, so you can go and check that out and give us a follow if you want. Yeah, so thank you guys for getting us to the point where we're at with our subscribers. We love you all so much. You mean the world to us. Let's see where we can get from now on. We hope you enjoyed the video. We hope we answered your questions. We'll see you next time. Goodbye!